Today's episode is sponsored by No Strings Attached e-News, your premier online magazine with interesting and informative articles from lifestyle, entertainment, and news worldwide. Visit the website to find out what's buzzing on nsaen.com. Welcome to the talk show Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. The goal of this show is to provide a learning experience to people of all ages, with guests from various fields in academics, a wide range of industries, and insight into the many forms of art, athletics, and entertainment. We hope you enjoy the show. Actress Patrika Darbo is today's guest. Patrika will talk about her experiences appearing on soap operas, as well as her years on the big screen.
Patrika Darbo, Emmy-winning
Yes.
actress, four-time Emmy nominee. Welcome to Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
My pleasure. You know, because the show's only about 30 minutes, I'm not going to read your resume because I don't have that kind of time. I mean, it just kept going on and on. It's unbelievable. What a great career, and you're still at it. But let's go back in time. What can you tell us about Patrika Darbo, the child?
I've divorced parents, like 5 fifth-grade classes. Kind of traumatic. I mean, those kind of things. I mean, children don't have a choice sometimes, and sometimes the parents are so angry with each other that they forget that there are other people involved that don't have a choice. So it's kind of a back and forth and back and forth. Your dad did this, your mom did this, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, but I think my sister, brother, and I have survived well.
Well, you know, that's at a time when divorce wasn't nearly as prevalent as it is now. Now it's
Yes.
a little over 50%, I think. So maybe that helped you grow in many ways, but I'm glad you had siblings to help you along. So when did you get the acting bug, or in your case, the acting swarm, because of the body of work that you've done?
Well, I think it's because my mother always called me not Cleopatra. Who am I trying to say? Sarah Bernhardt.
Okay.
Uh, my nickname as a kid was Queenie. And so it kind of came to that. I did it in schools. I had backyards. I mean, it's kind of like Rosie O'Donnell. We did things in our backyard. The neighbors came over and we put on shows for the parents and all those kind of things. And then in, grammar school, and then in high school and college. And I met my husband in little theater.
So tell me about your theater days. How that prep you for the big time, so to speak.
Well, I love the theater because it's immediate gratification. You know if the audience is with you or not, which is always fun. And when you're doing, even in television and film, you're not Patrika anymore. You're that person that you are doing. So it was, and I'd always been an overweight child, so I went through a lot of bullying and that kind of stuff. But the theater was always a safe place. I mean, whether you go, the nerds were in the computer words or wherever, but the theater was a safe place. And that's why I try to always advocate that we keep in the school system the arts. I mean, not every kid is a jock. So you can't play basketballs and all those things going on. So have music and theater and debate classes. Those are, glee clubs. So, and I think it was so poignant during when Glee was on to show the kind of bullying, the things that happened. And so I'm a strong advocate for the theater, the fact that there's a safe place there for you. And then it also stimulates your creativity. So, I can be playing a 6-foot blonde woman who is a superstar model and be safe there to do that. So that's what the theater was really about and stuff like that. But I also, besides the acting, I built sets. My husband always teases me he married me only because I could run every power tool there was and knew how to run a miter saw. So um, I also sewed a lot of costumes. There were times when I was sewing costumes and then I'd have to stop, run on stage for a rehearsal, and then come back and finish with sewing costumes. So and again, the theater was kind of well-rounded. You learned a lot of other things just instead of just acting. And I think it's also people who've only done television, you start doing a scene with them and they're, and I'm like, what? I'm 2 feet away from you and I can't hear you. Well, because they're so used to the mic picking things up. And I'm sure that I blew out a couple of sound people because I always project because I learned to do that in the theater. Um, excuse me, I've got this little frog today. Anyway, so those are my theater. And then again, like I said, I met my husband there. And we've been married 52 years this year. So,
Wow, that's
yeah.
incredible. So much of what you said resonates with me. I was an educator for over 30 years, and the arts are so important. And the fact that they've taken some money away, they're thinking of taking away more money. It really is a safe outlet, and there is no worst time in history for young people because of the bullying. And now, when you were
The-
bullied, I'm sure it was bad. There wasn't social media to add to that kind of bullying.
no, yeah,
And
that's
texting,
the fortunate part that, you see these bullies that take to destroy lives. I mean, young kids are killing themselves, and I always had that safe place to go there. Um, uh, and I listen. I learned to make people laugh with me and not at me, and that always helped and stuff like that. And I think I just read some great saying that talks about it. It's not you. It's the person that's doing it to you. Those are his misgivings that he's trying to thrust upon you. So, yeah.
and I've done so much anti-bullying training in schools and camps and even corporations, and they don't realize how it's you said the word, it's killing people. So it's either killing them on the inside, and some people, the suicide rate is up and things like
Yeah.
that. I'm so encouraged that you just said how it was a safe place for you. Everybody needs that safe place. Now you
I
can
think
be that other person, that character. So speaking of characters, I don't even think you can remember all the many roles that you had. Countless
no,
TV
I
series.
don't remember what I had for breakfast.
Yeah, exactly. But which role or roles stand out in your mind?
Well, theater wise, I did Daddy's Dying, Who's Got the Will. Originated the part on stage at a little place called Theater, which is now a bus stop on Cahuenga. And we got to go to the Fringe in Scotland and perform. And then I got to reprise my role in the movie, so that was great.
Ooh.
Working with Clint Eastwood, though I didn't work with him in the Line of Fire, he did hire me to be in Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. So those are kind of the roles I remember very much so. But every one of them are terrific. I mean, Days of Our Lives, we were an unconventional couple. That was wonderful. And Kevin and I are still very good friends. I got to have fun on Bold and the Beautiful, which was very much fun. So much fun. Um, and a little gig on Young and the Restless, and there's always a chance I could do something there because my granddaughter's still there. So I mean, there's so many things that I've done that have kept me going like this. I think I also learned that the soap opera fans are some of the most incredible people you'll ever meet and loyal. They're like big old dogs who are, you know, be under your armpit here, like the snuggling and kissing and protecting you. And so the fans are, really terrific. And I hope you garner many, many, Mark. So, because it's a good thing.
Yeah.
They're a good thing.
Yeah, I have to tell you that many years ago, while I was teaching, I broke up a fight and unfortunately broke my leg. Somebody threw a table on it, and I was out of work for 5 weeks. And I watched soap operas, and I think by week 3, I forgot there were soap operas. I think I was part of the family. I don't know. I mean, you could get addicted. I mean, I almost wanted to put in for another 5 weeks. So it's so many days you really get to gel and be part of that family. I want to go back to, I know you didn't work with Clint Eastwood per se, but you were in the Line of Fire. And I remember your scene so vividly. We'll get to that in a minute. But what was it like sharing the screen with John Malkovich?
He would. I can't even tell you. First of all, I was a fan, and when you go to work, you go, please let them be nice because I love these people, and if they're not, boo. So,
Yeah.
but when I went there, I was also doing a stage show called Club Indigo, a musical, kind of a very 40s musical, and one of the young ladies in the cast, when she found out I was doing this thing with John Malkovich, like grabbed me up like this, going, if I don't get to meet him, I'll kill him like this, because he's a big theater person. And so I got permission for her to come on the set with me. And that man, so gracious, talked to her for like an hour and a half or more about the theater and how important it was for people to learn there, and the creativity that comes from that live things and the things you find along the way. And then it was suddenly time for him to go in, and he kind of like they went, John, we're ready for you. And he was like, and became that person.
Yes,
And
I
then he
heard
went
that.
in, and
Yeah.
he was a terribly horrible person.
Yes.
So, but Mary Van Arsdale was the young lady. She does a lot of musical theater and a lot of stuff around. This was her first film, and she spent like the 2 hours John is talking to my friend that's in the play with me. She's being slammed against. You don't see John, you just kind of see her being bumped against this, and then he goes in and throws her up against stuff. And um, I mean, and to this day, everybody kind of remembers that scene in our apartment. So.
Oh, for sure. And and I saw once Matt Damon on an interview, and he said that he could not believe how John Malkovich went from John Malkovich and turned into the character almost frighteningly. That's how
Well,
fast he could turn it.
I mean, he just you look at John and you go, he's like this sudden French person, this guy in tight leopard pants and waistcoats, and he's romancing people. And then all of a sudden he's got a gun in his mouth, which was his choice, I understand, to
Mhm.
take that gun on the roof and put it in his mouth like that. But I think with his theater background, again, it gives him such freedom to make choices. And there was my dog barking. Stop, Dusty. Um, so it just gives him the freedom to create. And that's the other thing. Like I said, I could be the 6 foot blonde and convince you that's who I was on stage in classes and things that you do like that.
Yeah, that kind of training is worth its weight in gold. But let me ask you a question. I think you're from Atlanta. Is that where you're from originally?
I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. I went from Jacksonville, Florida to Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Atlanta, Georgia. And then I was in Atlanta before I came to California.
Right. So I have to say this to you and see if it resonates with you. What if I told you you shouldn't have been from Minneapolis?
Absolutely. I think my publicist always uses that because he is from Minneapolis and he always talks about it. She shouldn't have been from Minneapolis.
I will tell you that you helped make the scene more horrible because you were so sweet and so friendly and so gracious. And then we know what happened in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Just so well done and absolutely so vivid even to this day, years and years later. Patrika, on my show, we often talk about the story behind the glory. So what struggles did you have to overcome to get where you are today?
Oh, well, to be honest, I can't really say there are a lot of struggles that I had to go through. I've always been the character actress, so and sometimes I was too young or not old enough, those kind of things being in the middle. But I'm very fortunate because I'm of the age where we went into a room to audition. And in that room was the casting director reading with you. And then there were producers and writers sitting around the table. And when you walked into the room, you had a few moments to kibitz and talk to people. And that's when you got hired, not when you started to read. But this is a lovely person. We really like her. Now, if she really can act, then we're even ahead of game. But I'd like to work with her. So, and then you audition and you blow them away and stuff like that. Now it's so hard because, again, coming from a theater background, I'm in your eyes. We're acting together. And when you're acting for a camera, um, you've got somebody operating it and reading with you who's generally another actor, but there's still not that. You're very conscious that you can't step out of a certain place. And so it's a little tougher now. So I think I had more of advantage than disadvantages because of the fact that you could go into rooms and talk to people. Uh, Listen, I mean, and I guess too, back to the theater gives you a bit of freedom. I remember auditioning for Speed 2, and there really wasn't a script at the time, but they knew what characters they wanted there. And what the casting lady is saying, you know, reading the part, and what the part was, there's a fire going on, and it's coming in, and we're coughing in there. We're trying to plug up the door, and some person was take off the dress. Well, I'm not wearing anything underneath it. Then it was, you take off your shirt and do it. in my mind, being from the theater, was if I can't take my shirt off in front of the casting director and the reading person, then there's a shyness. I just took my shirt off to stuff under the door. Now, in that time, the ear shoulder pads were in, so I had these little shoulder pads attached to my bra. And then the casting director says, as my husband says, "Honey, it's okay, calm down. You need to sing something, and it'll be fine, and you'll calm down and you'll breathe and stuff like that." And I'm now in my bra with the shoulder pads saying, "I'm a little teapot, short, stout. Here is my handle. Here's my spout." I mean, anyway, when I got the part, um, he put shoulder pads on me. And so, anyway, so it's the freedoms and the things that happen sometimes.
Yeah, well, what a refreshing response, because a lot of people do struggles, but to say that you really didn't have any, but to say how it was different years ago and how that kind of personal connection is kind of not there as much as it was. That's so interesting to hear. So thank you so much for that transparency. How do you manage the demands of being on a soap opera at different times? Nancy Wesley on ABC's Days of Our Lives, and Shirley Specter on CBS, The Bold and Beautiful. That's a different animal. I mean, it's very demanding.
It's very many, because you're shooting a movie script a day, which could be 160 pages, and you, as the actor, are in certain scenes, you may have between 20 and 40 pages of dialogue to memorize. So that's one of the things. And when I first started on it, Monday was one script. Tuesday was just a little variation of Monday's script. Wednesday was a little more variation. On Thursday, sort of rounded it up. And then on Friday, there was a cliffhanger that took you to the next Monday.
Right.
Like this. So there was a lot of dialogue, especially if you were in heavy story. So I have great admiration for my fellow performers in daytime, because your brain is a muscle and you train it. So
Right.
you do learn faster. And you keep learning faster because your brain gets used to doing stuff. And I have to say, it enables me to go into an audition. If I get an audition on Monday that's due the next day and it's 10 pages, I'm pretty good about getting it down. I think sometimes the soap opera people get a bad rep because they go like, well, they're not that good. They could have done this. But at the same time, you have to think about how you don't have a lot of character development when you come in at some time. So you really have to work on who you are, where you are, what you're doing. And I never left my sofa most of the time. I was constantly going, script one down, script two up, like this. And then when you got with your partner to read it, and during rehearsal, you kind of went, "Oh, I should have thought about that. I didn't think about this." So it's so fast. And so, I mean, and some incredibly talented people. So I'm very grateful to have been a part of that. So.
Well, you're so committed to your craft, but commitment's like your middle name. So I know you're committed to your dog, Dusty, but how does a couple stay married for 52 years?
Well, we didn't enter 50-50. We entered 100-100, because if you come in half of yourself, that's where I think problems happen. So we were best friends because we met in the theater, and then we got married in the theater. But if I didn't want to go someplace and he did, he went, and vice versa. We weren't the couple up front kind of persons at this point. So, and I guess that it's our staying power, our holding power there. My husband does have Alzheimer's now, so it's a little harder. And in fact, he's still asleep. So he does a lot of sleeping lately. But I have friends who also are going through it, and their partners are sometimes angry, and they have a right to be, and lash out. But at this point, my husband's been just as loving as he was before. Though he can't remember where anything goes. So, but I love and adore him, and I'll keep him. So,
Yeah, that is Alzheimer's and dementia. It's hit so many families, and it's such a big problem. And thank you for dealing it with such grace and honesty and mentioning that here. And in a world where you see so many people in the business who are married and then 6 months later they're not married, So, you met someone in the business years ago and you stuck it out, and here you are 52 years in. So that's an incredible accomplishment in and of itself.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people get, honey, I'm on the Zoom. I think a lot of times people, um, it's more about the slap and tickle than looking down the long road to kids and families and things going on. Um, and a lot of times in our business, there's times where you're away a lot. I've been very fortunate that most of my career has been right here. I mean, there are several times I've traveled and done other things, but I leave in the morning and I come home. So, but I think sometimes, and I sometimes think it's publicity. I think somebody thinks, oh, if I get hooked up with this person right now, that'll get me into more places and meet other people. And so, again, marriages, you need to go in 100, and then it's going to last. Don't give up half of yourself.
I've been in the movies, the soaps and TV, from Hagen to Meisner to Stanislavski to starring with zombies and brain-eating freaks to singing this song that I've practiced for weeks.
She took the lights of stardom with her talent and brains, just knocking them dead
and eating all the remains.
So kudos to my fellow lady nominees, showing our dramatic versatility.
Show us fear, surprise, anger, joy, love.
Uncastable, relatable,
and Emmy nominatable, Patrika Darbo.
Golden advice, really phenomenal advice. In the time we have left, could you let me know how you got involved with, I think it's pronounced the Thalians, in raising awareness and funds for mental health and veterans assistance issues?
Well, of course, I was brought up in a time when, it was God Bless America, Pledge of Allegiance and everything like that. My dad was in the military, my brother-in-law, my grandfather, my uncle. So I have great respect and think we should honor our vets and not let what's happening to them happen. And people coming back with the PTSD and, can't deal with things anymore like that. The Thalians was an organization started by Mariska Hargitay's mom, Jane Mansfield, Debbie Reynolds, and there was one other one. Anyway, it was a very, very theatrical stuff like that. They did big balls and did a lot of fundraising. Right now, we work with UCLA's Operation Mend, which takes care of the mental health of our returning vets. One of the things they do, besides the mental health issues, if you're looking perfect, there are burn victims that come back that their mother couldn't recognize. And we have the ability and the facilities through Operation Men's UCLA to help them fix them here and fix them here as best we can. And there are so many out there that we've helped, and we're very grateful. We have a big ball coming up on December 6th, I think, this year at the Bel Air Country Club. Neil Sedaka has agreed to come and be our winner and a nominee, and we're working on some other people. I want to put it out there right now. We've been trying to get a hold of like the NCISs and from the military to maybe come and be guests and help us promote it, because they do so much. At the end of every show, they always say, please take care of our vets and things. So yes, I just think it's an important thing. And I do realize that there are so many homeless on the street that don't want to be put in a facility. They're not there. But I don't think we're assessing their mental capacity to know that there are better things than being out here on the street. And, and then some people just love that freedom. So it's so hard, but that's what we're trying to do, along with many more. I mean, the Wounded Warriors are out there. Tunnel, what is it? Tunnel. Now I'm going to get tongue-tied. Tunnels to Towers. That's what I'm thinking. But that we need to support. But again, right now we're looking at our government at this point that's sort of decimating a lot of these places that can care for. I mean, disbanding our education is one thing, but to stop the health things for our returning vets, especially who defended this country, is despicable. So for me and most of the people that are part of the Thalians, that's what we work for, is to fix that and help that. And again, but it's all charity, so it depends on who can give to us and things like that.
Well, certainly such great work. Patrika Darbo, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing so many inspiring stories, being such
Thank you.
transparent about family issues. A special thank you for all the volunteer work you've done and continue to do. So, Patrika, thank you so much for being today's very special guest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman. To contact Marc, email him at info@lifestorieswithmarchoberman.com or visit him on social media through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Thank you for watching Life Stories with Marc Hoberman.